Which hidden character inside you keeps relapsing the story? Carl Jung called it an addiction archetype, a timeless mask that whispers, "Just one more." Sometimes it's the wounded child begging for comfort. Sometimes the rebel lighting everything on fire. But every craving you've ever answered was an archetype directing the scene from the dark wings of your mind. Tonight, we drag that invisible actor into the spotlight. If you keep repeating the same loop, and you're finally ready to know who is pulling the strings, stay. Because the moment you name the pattern, the script begins to change. Recovery isn't just quitting the substance, it's rewriting the myth that drives you back to it. Jung called these myths archetypes, timeless characters living in the collective unconscious, shaping our choices, our cravings, our collapse. Maybe you felt it, that sudden shift in your own voice, the sentence that says, "I deserve this drink," or "Nothing matters, light the match." That voice isn't weakness, it's an ancient script. In this video, we'll expose 4 core addiction archetypes: the orphan, the victim, the rebel, and the addict itself, and show how each one hijacks the brain's dopamine loop. We'll move from raw story to concrete tools, shadow work, somatic release, active imagination. By the end, you'll know which archetype calls your name and how to answer without surrendering. Ready to meet the face behind the craving? Imagine the psyche as an ancient stage. Long before you took your first breath, the script was drafted, the actors waiting in the dark wings. Archetypes are those actors, universal patterns like the mother, the hero, and in addiction, the wounded child and the destroyer. They aren't memories. They're blueprints wired into the collective unconscious. When life triggers pain, an archetype steps forward, slips on your face, and begins to speak through impulses, daydreams, cravings, that late-night urge to disappear. The victim archetype begging for rescue. The sudden reckless, "I don't care." The rebel archetype demanding scorched earth. Archetypes are not fantasies. They're psychological code. Decode the pattern, and the addiction script starts to glitch. Next, meet the 4 archetypes that secretly shape every relapse and every chance at freedom. 1. The orphan, wounded child. A grown body, 7-year-old eyes. Loneliness tastes metallic. Approval is oxygen. When shame spikes, the orphan whispers, "Numb me." Inner child trauma drives late-night scrollings, comfort food, quick highs. 2. The victim, a voice that begins every sentence with, "Why always me?" It feeds on injustice, turns pain into identity. When bills pile or lovers leave, the victim pouts, "I deserve relief." Victim mentality makes relapse feel righteous. 3. The rebel, destroyer. Cigarette sparks in the dark. The world said, "Sit still." So the rebel lit the rulebook. It craves chaos, speeding tickets, bar fights, ghosted therapists. Rebel archetype uses addiction as a middle finger to authority, then self-destructs. 4. The addict self, a hypnotist in your bloodstream, smooth, persuasive. One more can't hurt. It records every dopamine spike, replays it as craving. This is the self-sabotage archetype, the looping ritual that keeps the other 3 alive. How to spot them? Language: "I can't, I'm owed. Watch me burn." Just 1. Body cues: tight chest for the orphan, heavy sighs for the victim, jaw clench for the rebel, restless fingers for the addict. These archetypes aren't demons, they're survival code, written when you had no better tools. But code can be rewritten. Next, We'll see how these patterns hijack brain chemistry, turning myth into measurable compulsion. Archetypes feel mystical, yet their power is brutally chemical. A stress trigger fires. Lonely night, rejected text. The orphan flashes an old memory. Abandoned. In milliseconds, the limbic system floods cortisol. The brain pleads for balance, and the addict archetype answers with a dopamine promise note. Swipe the screen, pour the drink, light the spark. Dopamine spikes, cortisol dips, relief glows. Neural pathways record the shortcut. Trigger. Archetype voice, ritual, reward. Repeat it often enough, and the pathway becomes a freeway. Unconscious behavior you call fate. MRI studies show that craving lights the nucleus, accumbens brighter than the reward itself. Proof that it's the anticipation the archetype loves. Break the loop and the brain panics, not because it needs the substance, but because the archetype lost its microphone. Understanding this dopamine cycle turns mythic shadow into something you can map, measure, and soon rewrite. You can't kill an archetype, but you can face it. Find a quiet room. Close your eyes. Picture the moment before you reach for the ritual. Step 1. Name it. Which voice shows up first? The orphan's tremor. The rebel's laugh. Say its name out loud. Language pulls shadow into light. Step 2. Dialogue. Ask it, what are you protecting? Let words surface without censorship. This is active imagination, Jung's bridge between conscious and unconscious. Step 3. Negotiate. Offer the archetype a new task. Orphan? Write a letter to the 7-year-old you. Victim? List one choice you still control. Rebel? Channel the fire into sprinting, drumming, painting. Addict? Slow breath pattern. In 4. Hold 2, out 6. Step 4. Anchor in the body. Place your hand on the tightest muscle. Breathe until it softens. This somatic cue tells the limbic system, danger past. The archetype doesn't vanish, but it learns new lines, and you reclaim the stage. Integration means your shadow stops rioting for attention because it's finally on the team. Add these 3 practices to your daily recovery ritual. 1. Somatic release walk, 10 minutes. Focus on the jaw and hips. Places the rebel and victim store tension. Each exhale, drop your shoulders and name the archetype under your breath. Rebel, rebel. Movement teaches the brain safety without substances. 2nd, parts work, journaling. Fold the page in half. Left column, the archetype's raw voice. Right column, your conscious reply. Each 5 exchanges a day rewires the trigger ritual. Shortcut into trigger dialogue. 3rd, night bite visualization. 2 minutes before sleep. Picture the persona mask resting on a table. Thank it for protecting you. Then imagine it dissolving into soft light. Close with the line, I choose the truth, even when it aches. Consistency beats intensity. 10 quiet minutes daily will outperform one heroic marathon of willpower. Because integration isn't a single breakthrough. It's the 1,000 small choices that teach your nervous system a new story. The mask has cracked, the archetype is unmasked, and the stage lights dim. In the silence, you feel something pulsing beneath the rubble. The wound itself. That's where we go next. Stage 5. Integration of the wound dives into the grief, forgiveness, and unexpected power that live under the scar. We'll turn abandoned pain into living wisdom, so the craving no longer needs to speak for it. Subscribe, bring a pen, and prepare to meet the part of you that never stopped waiting. The descent is behind you. The stitching begins now.